All right, everybody. Wrap up conversations. We're about to start at least the announcements and things. Thank you all for coming out to meetup number 120. We're going to be doing presentations from 6:35 to 7, and then you're going to get to see some demos from PTC and also Jeff in the back. We have an after party at the end at Trillium. That's at 8. More on that later. Oh, okay. I'll try. Do we have a microphone? I'll be louder.
There's a microphone right down there. It's a lavalier on the shelf.
Too late for that. All right. So thank you to PTC for hosting this event. We appreciate it. Big applause. They're also paying for pizza. Very important. All the PTC. We'd also like to thank XRterra for their ongoing monthly sponsorship. That's a lot. And now for some announcements. XRterra has a AR/VR developer program. If you're trying to learn how to develop for AR and VR, they've got a program to that. And there's also a couple of scholarships available for the next kind of round of that program. The next Boston VR Dev Jam. Boston VR Dev Jam is basically when we all come in and just into a room and just work on our projects together. Super fun time. It's great if you're new. It's great if you're old. You get to show off your thing to a bunch of interested people. I love going there myself. Our next one is going to be March 14th. It's 10 to 6 in the Brookline Interactive Group. It's right on the D Green Line. So it's very easy to get to. Super fun. I go there as often as I can. Our next meetup will be Rhythm of the Universe. They're going to be talking about their VR game based on music mythology. They can explain it better than I can, but it's really cool. It's all music based. It's a cool game. So that will be our next event for Boston VR that isn't the Dev Jam. We'd also like to plug the 2020 Teen Reality Fair. They are, I believe, still looking for some demos, so if you want to show your cool thing to teens who might be interested in AR and VR, definitely give Chris Jacobs a message, an email, and see if y'all can work something out. Also, if you'd like to briefly introduce MedVR.
Sure. I'm Steve Patterson. This is the next reality virtually hackathon event, MedVR. It's going to be in Boston, June 25th through 28th. It's a medical-focused AR/VR hackathon, and what we're building on is that healthcare applications tend to have really good problem definitions, really good use cases based upon very, very solid evidence-based research. So it's a really good place to be if you want to be working in this area. Much better than games and entertainment. At the bottom is our affiliates. We just brought on the Harvard Sale Lab as another affiliate. Get involved. It's by application. We're going to have 2,000 applications for about 400 seats. Apply at medvr.io. If you'd like, you can give a workshop. We're going to have medical and technology-based workshops there. If you'd like to do that, send me an email. My email's down on the bottom. If you'd like to mentor, last year we had 60 mentors. We're going to need that many again. We'd love to have you on board. Judging is another important task. Come to our next meeting. Email me and I'll tell you exactly where it is. We're meeting this Saturday at 11 over at Northeastern University. And that's my email address. And last but not least, we're working with Virtual Medicine out of Cedars-Sinai. We've got a close relationship with them. Do great research on healthcare and AR and VR applications. They need judges for their online hackathon. If you'd like to join them and judge, if you're a tech person, they'll match you with a healthcare pro to do the judging. And to find it, go to DevPost. They've got over like 150 people. So find me afterwards or find me at the bar, and I'll tell you more about it. Thank you.
We would also love to plug Women in the Next Realities, another VR group. They're fantastic. You should go check it out. It's really cool. In addition, we would like to let you know about the XR Immersive Enterprise 2020. If you use this code, you can get $100 off the tickets. So if that interests you, by all means, please use that code. And finally, if you'd like to support us financially, definitely reach out to us. Jeff would be the person to Jeff, stand up. Everyone look. This is Jeff. Talk to him. Fantastic man extraordinaire. Give us money. Give us money. And also, if you would like to give us money but also get something in return, and you want to look as fabulous as I do right now, you can get a Boston VR t-shirt. They're comfortable. I like them a lot. And all the proceeds go to our nonprofit More Great Events in Boston.
Does it come with the plaid?
Does it come with the plaid? No, the plaid is unfortunately grafted onto my body. We also are looking for volunteers. If you would like to help us out, help run the events. I recently got onto this team, and it's super fun. 10 out of 10 would recommend. So if you're interested in helping out this event, by all means reach out to us. We have these kind of available roles. If this interests you or applies to you, by all means reach out. Also, we would like to just let you know there's a virtuality podcast led by Jason Parks and Craig Herndon. It's basically a podcast about reality, virtual reality and augmented reality and all that good stuff that interests us all. And if you'd like to connect with us, these are our links. Meetup. The Meetup is the most important one because that's where we post the vast majority of our kind of information. It's the most up to date, and we have all of the events that are upcoming. You can find. I know if you check out our YouTube, you can find recordings of events. For example, hi YouTube, we're recording this right now, and we can. If you look up Boston VR's YouTube, you can check out recordings of the events. If you saw something, you want to see it again. This event is brought to you by. I'm your host, Greg. Marty, sitting over there, who's our host for PTC. Thank you very much. And these are our volunteers. We'd like to welcome Janet, there, who is our most recent addition to our organizing team. Thank you very much. It's going to be great. And finally, let's talk briefly about our demos. Jose, is this happening? Where is it?
It's happening in the...
It is happening. Okay. If you have 30 seconds to explain it.
Basically, to have like a sort of like a... so basically, they, from there you could... I'm not gonna...
15 seconds.
So basically, there's like a demo outside of this meeting room that they're gonna be showing this arm thing that basically try to... That's like set up with you listening.
That's it. It's a robot arm. It's super
Yeah,
cool.
it's
Check
a
it out.
robot arm.
It's a robot arm. That's kind of all the explanation
Yeah,
you need, to be honest. It should attract your interest automatically.
Yeah.
And also,
I'm the XR person at Boston Children's Hospital, and I'll be showing off a mixed reality app that I built to help us plan a surgery for a child. I built it in Unity and using PTC's Vuforia. So just find me. I have it in hand.
and of course, PTC has their own lovely slate of demos, which I believe they're going to talk about a little bit after this. There will be some presentations. I think we have. Yes. Finally, after this, it's not. Is it starting at 9 or at 8? When are we showing up there? Maybe 8, 9, 9. Approximately 9 show up at Trillium, and we'll be doing just after party stuff after the event. We'll be generally meeting up at Trillium. It's not too far away. I've been told locals know where it is, but Trillium.
Yeah.
And finally, let's start some presentations from PTC. Probably want this clicker back, right? Yeah, it's fine. I got it. Just make sure this works though.
right. That's good. Well, welcome Boston VR Meetup. Thank you for joining us at PTC's headquarters. We're glad to have you here. We have a packed agenda for you for our presentations today. So my name is Yogi Rana. I work as an AR market strategy analyst here at PTC. And what that means is I'm basically doing market research, trying to understand the AR market, the VR market, and see how PTC should react. I'm going to be talking to you about solving real-world problems and how us at PTC are solving these problems for our customers using AR. We have Marty Markinson, our host, and also our product manager here at PTC. He's going to be talking to you about our product portfolio. We have our fantastic designer, Louisa. Louisa, if you want to say hi. Louisa is going to be talking to you about some behind the scenes about designing an AR product as an enterprise solution. And then finally, we have Chandler, and he is going to be talking to you about building an enterprise AR solution as well. And then after that, after our presentations, we're going to have some fantastic demos of on our 17th floor. And these are really, really good, so hopefully you guys can catch that as well. So, as I mentioned, I'm going to be talking to you guys about solving real-world problems with augmented reality. A big problem that I personally see in augmented reality today is like people are infusing augmented reality into their solutions when you don't really need it. They're pretty much just putting in AR because it's a shiny thing and they're like, okay, this is going to catch the attention of my user. But that's not really what makes AR valuable, and I really want to show you how PTC is bringing value with AR. So to give you a little bit of a background of who PTC really is, we're a $1.3 billion software company. We focus on the B2B space, and we're headquartered right here in Boston. And we started off 30 years ago with what's known as computer-aided design. And for all of you who don't really know what that is, it's a digital tool that allows you to design these products and engineer it before you have to manufacture it, right? And product lifecycle management is basically being able to manage that and then share it with your engineering team so that you can collaborate together. A decade ago, our CEO actually had the vision to really make a hard pivot and then focus on two key technologies. First of all, we have IoT. So we acquired a company called ThingWorx in 2013, and this allowed us to really start working with Internet of Things data and start collecting this data. And then in 2015, we acquired a company which is hopefully familiar with all of you, called Vuforia, which allowed us to really enter the augmented reality space. Today, we're helping all of our customers really transform their organizations with cutting-edge technology like 3D printing, AI-driven design, you name it, smart connected products, smart connected factories, and augmented reality. So hopefully we can show you a little bit of that. Now, this is PTC's logo, and I don't know if you all noticed, but if you tilt your head a little bit to the side, you can see a P and a D. And what that really represents is PTC's vision to converge the physical and digital worlds. And this is really taking inspiration from the yin and yang sign, which is two halves of the same whole, right? And the way this translates to our products is, well, we originally started on the digital side, right? We were enabling our customers to design and engineer these products in the digital side. But with IoT, what we were able to do was we were able to cross this boundary. We were able to collect this data and bring it to the digital world. And now with augmented reality, what we can do is bring that digital content and render it on the real world. And it's adding context to enable a lot of different use cases. But PTC right now, today, we enable our customers to transform their organization in three main areas, right? So we have the products, people, and processes. And basically, as I mentioned before, with IoT, we can enable our customers to create smart connected products and smart connected processes by infusing this data and collecting it from the sensors and being able to do a lot of different things with it. With augmented reality, we're enabling the smart connected person, the smart connected worker, right? And why this is powerful is basically we're equipping these workers with the ability to overlay crucial information exactly when they need it. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit further on, and Marty's going to walk you through our products, but you're really going to see how that works. So before I move on, I really want to stop and talk to you about some challenges faced by the industrial companies today, right? So first of all, we have the worker shortage. I'm sure all of you are pretty familiar with this, and you all will be able to relate to this, but baby boomers are retiring everywhere, including the manufacturing space, right? And that means that decades worth of domain knowledge from these factories are just leaving straight out the window, right? And these industrial companies, they have this problem. They want to be able to capture this knowledge in some way, and they want to use that very powerfully to train the new hires who are coming in. And they need a really a new medium to use in order to do this. And that's probably an area where AR can come in. Sorry. The second problem is mass customization, right? So this is basically the consumer trend that consumers want to personalize all of these products to fit their own taste. Now, if any of you have bought a car recently, I'm sure you've had to choose what car model you want to buy, right? Even within that car model, I'll use the example of Tesla. Tesla has a wicked fast mode, a S, a 3, a 3S, whatever types of models they have, but it's really letting you personalize it to exactly what you want it to be. But what this is really doing is making it more complicated to manufacture these things and also service them, right? It's adding more complexity from the manufacturing side because you need to customize that factory line to produce exactly what the consumers want, and you're adding more parts, so it's even harder to be an expert in order to fix them, right? So that's why it's even harder to be an expert in the first place. And then finally, even after all of this, the frontline worker or the deskless worker is still the most underserved market in the technology space. There's a statistic here that says even though that the global deskless worker makes up 80% of the total workforce, only 1% of total software funding goes towards enabling these frontline workers, right? So you can really see that there's a huge gap that hasn't been filled. You can all imagine that we have productivity tools like PowerPoint, like Word, like Excel, like Dropbox. None of these workers have any types of tools like that. Okay, they do, but at a much smaller scale is what I'm trying to say. But we have a real opportunity to enable this as well. So you must be wondering, okay, so why AR technology, right? This is what's known as the learning pyramid, and it was first pioneered by the National Training Laboratories Institute of Applied Behavioral Science. I really had to look back and see what that was, but basically what it shows you is the human ability to retain knowledge when they hear something, when they read something, when they watch a video about something, when they're demoed something in real life. Right? And you can see on the side how big of an impact this has on your learning retention, your ability to really understand and grasp what you just learned. And what's really cool is what augmented reality and virtual reality lets you do is to mimic a real-world demo scenario, right? And the way that it does this is using a really immersive experience. You're able to see this 3D rendered content onto your real world, and really it's bridging that gap between the digital and physical, like we have the vision for. And this has a lot of benefits, right? First of all, it's easier to process what you're looking at, right? You can more easily see the digital content and understand what you're trying to do. You can heighten your knowledge retention because people think in 3D, right? I'm sure you all know that as we were growing up, it was much more easy to grasp things when it was in 3D rather than looking at a screen. And then also it deepens our comprehension, which means it's easier to describe these problems. And you can really see this when you put it into a picture like this. So this is an excerpt from a Harvard Business Review that our CEO, Jim Heppelman, and Professor Michael Porter from the HBS wrote together. And what this is saying is that AR reduces that mental effort that's needed in order to understand digital content in the real world, right? So what does that really mean, and what does that really look like? Well, imagine how you navigate through GPS today, right? You have a map on your phone, and you're trying to make sense about this 2D map with roads on it and this red arrow, and you're trying to translate that and have this mental effort of translating to understand how and where you're supposed to go. There's a mental capacity that's needed in order to do that. And when you compare that to the second picture, where you have AR content already digitally rendered onto your road, make it glow, and see these arrows guiding you where you want to go, you immediately understand what you need to do. So when you translate that into manufacturing, AR is putting the answers where the questions are, right? So in manufacturing, we have this huge problem that the majority of the standard operating procedures are still consumed by paper. That means that all of these people have to read this piece of paper, try to understand what that means, and then go do their jobs. Well, now with augmented reality, we can really overlay the actual equipment itself with augmented reality content, telling them what to do, how to do it, and when to do it, and exactly really making them safer, more productive, and reduce the errors that they make. Now, when you translate this to use cases, I'm just going to walk you through some use cases that we're enabling our customers to do. The first one is manual assembly. This is a huge thing in manufacturing where the workers are actually putting things together. And they really need to know how to put these things together, and this is where most of the errors work right now. And basically what we're enabling workers to do is to visually understand exactly what they need to do by seeing these animated 3D CAD animated stuff step by step. right? So you can see the image of this equipment right there, and it's going to show you exactly where you need to go, how you're supposed to twist it, and how you're supposed to turn it. So it really minimizes the ambiguity of what you're supposed to do, right? So that's the real power of it. It lets you diagnose problems faster. So you can imagine pulling IoT content from the car itself over there. You can make different parts highlight itself, and you can see errors. So I heard a really good analogy of this earlier. You can now have the machine tell you where it hurts, right? So it's great. And if that's not enough, then you can even have a remote expert see your view and annotate your world by having AR graphics that stick to your world, right? So that's a really powerful way to provide support as well. And you can even do things like walk through a factory and see your real-time information coming out of all of your factory equipment, and really see how efficient your factory is at all times. And this is the real thing, right? This is the key here, is that we're driving real value. And how does that translate to the manufacturing world? Well, on a plant floor, if you're a plant floor manager, your priority is to make sure that all of your workers are productive. Well, now, augmented reality is, like I said earlier, putting the answers where the questions are, which means they know exactly what to do and how to do it. That means they can get ramped up in order to be more productive faster. Scrap and rework. For manufacturers like semiconductors, that small wafer can cost tens of thousands of dollars if it's scrap, if someone mishandles it or they drop it, right? Augmented reality, as I mentioned before, it reduces the ambiguity between what's right and wrong, because you're actually seeing the content overlaid on top of your equipment. And then finally, all manufacturers care about safety and compliance. They want all of their workers to be safe at all times, and augmented reality helps us put warning labels and signs for them to understand what's safe and what's not safe. So that's a huge priority as well. So these are all just a few use cases which are really providing value for our customers, but hopefully it inspires you that you can actually use augmented reality more than just a cool factor, and to really drive value, right? So I mentioned some things here. It puts the answers where the questions are, reduces the ambiguity to what's right and what's wrong, and it makes you more productive because you know exactly what you're supposed to do, right? So on that note, I want to pass it off to my friend Marty Markinson, and he's going to talk to you about how this enterprise value really translates to our products.
All right. Cool.
Thank you.
See if we can hide this screen a little bit so this is away. Maybe not. All right, we'll keep it in the corner.
All right, good afternoon, everyone. So I hope what Yogi shared with you really resonated, and I'm sure that some of you are thinking, okay, how am I going to solve this problem? There's so much there. And I just want to say, here at PTC, we are really dedicated and really highly invested and have the smartest people in the world helping you to solve this problem through our AR platform. And I just want to share some of the details on how we can bring these use cases to life with you at your organization. A little bit about me. I put on a DK1 about a year ago, and it was really mind-opening experience. I saw that this is really where the industry is going, and I wanted to be a part of it. So I was in kind of your chair. I was going to these meetup groups, met someone from PTC, and have been working for PTC ever since. It's been an exciting ride. It's been a lot of fun the past 4 years. We've solved some real problems through AR, and I'm excited to share how we did that. In addition to my AR, VR passion, I also liked outdoors. So that's a picture from Canada, going on a rock climbing trip. And so Yogi highlighted some really high-value use cases. And one of the important things is, in order to enable those use cases, you need a variety of different ways to create content for AR. So some of our customers create their content from already created 3D CAD content. Some of them leverage the ability to create that content ad hoc on a remote assistance call. Oftentimes we give it to a customer and they say, we don't even have any of this content captured. How are we gonna author all this in AR? And we have a solution for that as well. And then other customers are interested in embedding in that application. And we've seen how important it is to be able to, as Yogi said, have the machine tell us where it hurts. And that's where IoT comes in the picture. So our platform has the capabilities to author content in a variety of different ways. And then their next question with AR is, okay, so how, AR is all about putting the content in the right place at the right time. And that's what Vuforia does better than anyone on the planet. We have the most robust tracking. It's cross-platform. So we can do things like, if you just have an assisted reality device, we have solutions that can help you create content for that. but oftentimes just putting content on a plane is good for like a product companion use case. If we're working on more work instructions-based use case, you want that content to be on the object, you want it to be registered, you want it to be tracked, you want it to be highlighting parts on the machine that are wrong. And then more and more we're doing investigation into spaces. How can we have a whole factory floor be decorated with augmentation? And that's what Vuforia provides. You should worry about creating the content. We have many different ways to create that content. We'll handle the tracking, as well as the second question they are is devices, right? So today we've got a lot of frontline workers who are using devices on the left, the iOSs, the Androids, and the Windows. Our customers say we want to be ready for the next round of devices. We see the HoloLens 2. We don't want to build an application for Android, have to port it over to HoloLens 2. And then, RealWare is also interesting as well. We see use cases for this. So our platform allows you to create content cross-device, all those different targeting types. So really, you just have to focus on the problems that Yogi highlighted. So I'm going to walk through a couple of different products that we have that are built on that technology suite. Chalk, which is for remote assistance. Expert Capture, for capturing those procedures that don't exist. Studio, for repurposing your 3D geometry for work instructions, as well as Engine, which is the underlying computer vision SDK. I'm going to start off. Who here has, by raise of hands, Vuforia View and Vuforia Chalk downloaded? Nice. You guys are all stars. Who has one of those downloaded on their phone? Cool. I want to take you guys a second, go to the App Store, download this on your device. We'll have demos upstairs where you can experience this live through your device, as well as Chalk. If you're, talking to someone and you haven't, this is our remote assistant technology. I'd love for us all to make a Chalk call to someone today. I think that would be super powerful. Sweet. So all of our products are powered by this Vuforia engine. This is what allows us to register content to the real world, and it's the most widely adopted developer SDK, and we use it to make sure that all of our tracking is robust and cross-platform. So one example is our Studio product. This is what we use to repurpose your 3D geometry to do things like work instructions, to help train your workforce on a product without it being there, so they can take it home. They can do it in the classroom. They don't have to ship a product all the way across the world in order to be educated on the work that they need to do. And one of our customers, Howden, is actually using it to enable self-service. Switch over to this YouTube video real quick. Hopefully this will work. So Howden is a customer who's using our Studio product, and they've seen some challenges with, I'll just talk to it, but with downtime. So, they ship these industrial blowers, things that you see in sanitation facilities, and if that thing goes down, the whole facility is down. And that Howden's now on the hook. They're sending their technicians out there, and sometimes it's an easy fix. It's cleaning a bearing, it's tightening a screw, it's replacing a gear. So they're looking into using the HoloLens, shipping it into their customer site so they can be enabled to do some of that self-service and keep it within warranty. So this is our Studio environment. You can see them using existing CAD geometry in order to create those augmentations and those work instructions. Here, frontline worker will walk up to the product. They'll be able to see all the different values so you really get a better understanding of the diagnosis of what's going on. Video doesn't run. Okay, I was playing on a different screen on mine. Sorry about that. Go back to the presentation. All right. And here's a video of our Chalk solution in action. So this is that remote assistance capability. Love for you all to give that a try in action. But this is able to, sometimes you can't author that content ahead of time, but there is domain expertise within your organization, someone who knows how to do that work. And through Chalk, they're able to annotate and direct someone to diagnose the issue quicker. You can see all of these annotations are actually stuck to the environment so that when they're communicating about something, it continues to stay there and be persistent. And then what I really like is all those Chalk marks get stored so that you can reuse them so the next time someone has that challenge, they can share that session with them. Our newest offering is Vuforia Expert Capture. So this is for a scenario when oftentimes customers have these operating procedures, but they don't document them, or it takes a long time to document them. So Expert Capture is a solution where your expert does his work as he traditionally would, wears the headset, and all of that gets recorded into steps. And now it can get distributed to all those different devices that I highlighted before. So it's built out from 3 main components. There's the capture application. That's what the expert wears to do their work and create those work instructions. It can get fine-tuned through editor where steps, other schematics, images, text, and videos can be added. And ultimately it gets published to all those different devices. And we handle the device support. So you really just worry about the content. I really love this story. This is from a partner of ours, Rockwell. They had been shipping this demo device from Germany to China, all across the world. And there was one guy who knew how to put this thing together pretty well. He's like, I had some documentation, but still, I was like getting calls in the middle of the night trying to debug and fix this thing. And we showed them the power of being able to document that through expert capture to ensure that people knew the exact steps and instructions to do, so you could sleep soundly at night. And so this is highlighting the capture application. This is what you'll be wearing. The expert wears on a headset. Louisa and Chandler will be giving you a little behind the scenes on how this came to bear. But it's just really intuitive, and it enables you to do work as you would do, but at the same time capture all of that as a standard operating procedure. So highlighting a little bit our editor, this is where those steps and instructions get fine-tuned, and text can be added, and then it can get published out to a device like a HoloLens. And the great thing about the HoloLens is it's location aware. So think about this as GPS for the real world. So this is directing the user where each of those steps take place, saving time. We've seen that sometimes 50% of the time of solving a problem is just figuring out where the problem is, and then you have to go and actually debug it. So that cuts away that 50% of the time. All right, so hopefully you guys now have a better understanding of kind of the Vuforia AR enterprise platform. Next, I'm going to hand it over to Louisa. We'll talk about how we design these products.
Hi, everyone. I'm Louisa. I'm a design technologist on the Vuforia design team. If you're wondering what design technologist means, it's just our way of saying that I have a background in computer science and design, so I really take a role in the team of helping us prototype ideas early, which is especially important in AR, so we can really run the test against them and see how people react. Just a bit of what I'll be talking about today. First, I'm going to give a quick little recap of expert capture on HoloLens, more in depth. And then I'll talk about the design process in action, everything from user research to building and testing. And then I'll give my unsolicited thoughts on what the intersection and differences are between AR designers and other types of digital product designers. So let's see if this plays. Okay, slowly but surely. Awesome. Is there going to be sound, or should I talk over it? So, this is showing an example. Obviously, you can see some of the factory settings that this solution is used in. But as Marty said, one of the huge values of expert capture is, and as Yogi mentioned as well, the problem with the silver tsunami and the retiring workforce. So here you can see someone who is very much an expert on this machine, going through and recording a procedure. Here he's using the capture app, which is the first part of the solution. And you can see he can take pictures, he can record audio as he does this, and there's also a live video stream of the whole procedure. So he has all sorts of metadata, including the locations at every step where he goes, not only where he walks, but also where he places specific locations where he thinks the step should take place. So you can see that then with editing, you can publish to a variety of devices and output it, as in this example. She's running through the same procedure. She might not know this machine as well at all, and is now able to follow the quick instructions, see any warnings she might need to see, and see the kind of content that you'd only get if you had an expert over your shoulder giving you that sort of information as you go. So I'm going to be focusing on the third part of this, which is the playback experience. Mostly because that's the part that I worked on, so I can talk to it a lot, but also because it's one of the really great experiences, great moments to see how this experience is like really valuable in AR. So I could like just start throwing all these images at you about what designing a single user interface in AR could look like, anything from sketches to Unity prototypes to composite videos that show our vision. But I wanted to take a step back and go a little bit higher and use this framework, which was made popular by IDEO, which is a global design and consulting agency. And this is something that we used as we developed our product to make sure that we were making a truly human-centered solution. So to dive right in to the first part of empathizing, in developing this AR solution, it was super important for us to understand people, but then also the processes and environments that they live in, so that we know that our solution will fit into their world as it is today. So we went out to a ton of customers. One of the amazing advantages of being part of PTC is that we have over 30,000 customers who are in this space that we can go talk to and who are always happy to help us develop the future of this technology. So here's an example where we were at a submarine museum, but we were talking to a real mechanical engineer who works on nuclear submarines. And he was telling us about some of the challenges that he faces as he has to work on these giant ships. One example that he said is he likened fixing a submarine to having to change out the motor of your car through the glove compartment. So these spaces are tight and tiny, and you have to get your job right because the stakes are pretty high. Here's another example of me testing our device against some sort of the personal protective equipment that doctors might have to wear, where they're wearing a face shield that protects against blood splatters. So a lot of the things we're doing is just going into these extreme environments and seeing what these people are facing every day. So here I'm on the left and my boss Sarah is on the right. We're wearing these full bunny suits, which is what people have to wear when they go into a clean room. They're actually called clean suits, but people there call them bunny suits. But these things take about 15 to 20 minutes to put on. We were only in there for about an hour, but the people who wear these have to wear them for 6 to 8 hour shifts, and they can get hot, as you can imagine. So this just gave us a little bit of an insight into these people's worlds, but something that's slightly different than designing a consumer-facing app is that there is no way that you are your end user. And I think that's something that any good product designer has to remind themselves of, but I think it's especially true in our case. So something we always like to talk about are what are the limits to your empathy? When do you have to recognize that this job that they're doing is not the same as you changing the oil in your car in your driveway? So the kind of output that we have from that is to create sort of empathy maps or other sort of artifacts that we can share out with the rest of our team that give them an idea of what it's like to be one of these workers, what they think, what they say, what they do, what they feel. So then once we've started to gather info on our workers and the frontline workers, we can start to define what the problem is and define exactly who they are as they will be as in the sense of how they'll use our technology. So this looks kind of boring, but it's a lot about mapping out their existing workflow and new workflows that we can enable them to do. And to zoom into that other one was color-coded by different personas, but here you can see we've categorized people as novices. And the value that Expert Capture could bring to them in a storyboard is that now if they need to certify themselves in a new task or new technology, they can easily do it by just pulling up the expert guidance from a previous expert who recorded it. So then for ideating, we do a lot of brainstorming, and as AR is a very physical medium, we go back to the basics. We use construction paper, clay, anything that we can get our hands on that feels really digital and analog, and it's a really great brainstorming tool. And once we've come up with ideas, we have to sketch them down. It's really tricky to communicate about these ideas that are floating in your head, and you want to make sure that other people are on the same page as you. So we also use silly things like stick figures running around, or on the right you can see a hand-drawn animation, which took about 30 minutes to put together, but was super effective in communicating this kind of complex interaction that we might want. This, for example, let us know that it's pretty hard to get a swipe gesture to work correctly because someone had spent a lot of time trying to do research on that, and they found that everyone swipes differently. so we could eliminate that early if we didn't have the time to go down that rabbit hole. So then in the prototyping phase, we usually prototype and test pretty tightly iteratively. So here there are all sorts of things that we do, but one of the things, for example, was in order to define scale, this is taken through a HoloLens. We set up a hologram that was just the bare bones of our app, and we printed out a piece of paper that was a ruler with markings from like centimeters, 5 centimeter circles, and then we had people stand at the distance we wanted them to interact with this at, scale it to the size that they thought they would need to interact with it, and then we were able to grab measurements super quickly of what we thought it might need to be without having to build a super complex UI. And as we're prototyping, something that we found super useful was to pick a specific thing that we wanted to test, a super discrete action. So here on the left, you can see we're testing tag-along behavior, or on the right, you can see we were testing different distances at which to spawn this content when you approach the mission point or waypoint of where you were supposed to do this task. And we also did other things like throwing up multiple copies of a UI and just like testing different materials. We thought the clear material would be really great until we put it on device and realized it didn't look as good in practice. We also set up some scenes where you just have non-experience buttons, such as the ones on the left, and those let you toggle different UIs so you can quickly let people see what different options are. And then finally, we're always testing and building. We like to differentiate between whether we're testing with a true user, which would be a frontline worker in their environment, or whether we're testing with what we just call human testers. And there are certain things that people like around our office or on different teams can tell us. There are other things that only frontline workers can tell us. But we can learn a lot from the people around us as well until we get back out to a customer site. But for example, from that test that we had that picture of, we learned that originally we've been displaying step content right at a step location. But as you can imagine in that submarine example, if someone's in a tight space and this location is right here and their content is here, there's no way they're going to see that comfortably. So we decided to separate that, and so now the content always displays optimally for your viewing. You can see where the point is still, but then the content is always there for you because that is what's key. And then once we made that realization, we had to make new UI mocks, like on the left, we made in 2D to communicate ideas, or illustrations to like show what the system will break down as. And then finally, we can test larger pieces of the flow, such as what does this one step look like that we can test in an environment. So this slide kind of shows a little bit of what it's like to go from a sketch, then we usually mock it up in Figma in 2D, which gives us an idea of layout, color, scale, and then we have amazing technical artists who can take that and make models, animations, and sound from that. So you can see the value of, like on the left was me playing in Unity with placeholder UI and it looks pretty bad, and then when we get the new refined assets in, then it looks a lot more polished. And then there are also other sorts of assets that we need to hand off when we're working with developers or with other people on our team, such as documenting what voice commands you need at any point and what animations or sounds should play when you interact with any specific interactable. So we'd have this for every part of our UI. So all of that was kind of a little glimpse into the process that we have. And I know some people might be wondering, how do you become an AR designer, or how do you know the things you need to know to do this? I think that being an AR designer is just like just underneath an umbrella of being a digital product designer, but maybe with a couple of different domain expertises that can be learned either before or afterwards when you're working on this kind of product. One is to know 3D, which is very vague, but I think to me what that means is knowing how a computer understands and defines the 3D world, whether it's computer vision or just computer graphics of how these models are rendered in space, so that you can really like understand the whole world that this is being built into. And then also any designer needs to be comfortable with ambiguity, but I think that's especially true if you're working in emerging technology like AR or VR or AI or ML, and you're trying to grapple this future like sci-fi world with what technology can actually do today, and then seeing what you can do with what it can do today that's actually valuable to people. So with that design lens, I'm now going to hand it off to Chandler, who will talk to you about the development part of that.
Hey guys, I got props. All right. Well, there's no place to put this. I will just hold. I will
Well, think
hold
of
it
it, you
and talk
putting it
like
on
a
your head.
quarterback.
But I guess that's a bit too
All right.
silly.
Hey guys, my name is Chandler. I'm a software engineer in the Vuforia team, and I know a lot of you guys down there because I also am a regular at the Boston VR meetup. I have been attending these Boston VR meetups since about 3 years ago, and along the way, I've gotten a lot of help and mentorship from Craig, from Jeff, from all the other guys. So I am so happy to be talking to you guys today. So far today we had Yogi talking about the market insights. We had Marty talking about the Vuforia portfolio, and then Luisa went over the design team philosophy. And I want to wrap it up today with a look into the AR team from the technical perspective. And I am well aware that technical talks can get really boring at times. I myself have fallen asleep in many of them. So instead of diving into the deep end of the technical stuff, I want to tell you guys a story instead. It might be a small story, but it really shows you a lot about what we do here, how we do it, and how we build an enterprise level AR solution. All 3 talks before me has discussed Vuforia Expert Capture. So if you still don't know what it is, I'll be happy to say it again. Using the Vuforia Capture app on your headsets, you can record step-by-step captures or instructions. And then using the Vuforia editor on your computer, you're able to edit your procedures. And then last of all, using the Vuforia View app, you'll be able to actually deploy these procedures onto actual frontline workers to learn new skills from these procedures. And during the development of this product, I was in charge of implementing the Vuforia Capture app on the RealWare platform. And the end goal was, I didn't know part of the presentation will be blocked, but the end goal was that when we give this RealWare headset to a subject matter expert, they will be able to record step-by-step videos, take pictures, do a lot of cool things, all while using voice commands, so that they can have both their hands free to perform actual operations. With all of that said, thank you. Story time. March 2019, that was when we first hit our MVP goal, which means we had a minimum viable product for Vuforia Capture. At that time, we had all of the critical features implemented. We had the app was in a usable state, and we were all excited and ready to dive into the fancier features like a tutorial mode or analytics. And at that time, we gave the app to a customer for some initial testing, and they loved it. They loved the app. They loved our progress, and but they did come back with one feedback. They had one small request. They needed higher camera quality. At the time, we were using the RealWare headset. We configured the camera to record videos and take pictures at 480p. And that is because the the monocular display on the RealWare headset has a maximum resolution of 480p. It made sense. But I guess it turns out that they also want to utilize these procedures onto iPads or iPhones, or even exporting the pictures into Word documents. So that's that. So the assignment was to tune up the camera quality for both videos and images. It's very simple, very straightforward, right? From the Vuforia Capture's perspective, how do I need to do that? It's not just changing the numbers. I had to think about it from 2 different perspectives. First of all, you see the camera on this little thing. It can record videos up to 1080p, and it can take pictures up to 4K. That's pretty amazing, right? If the customer wants better resolution for their videos and images, hey, let's just give them the best. Big deal. Let's give them that full HD 1080p video with 60 frames per second, right? Hell no. The device storage on the RealWear has about 10 gigabytes, and if you keep recording captures under full maximum configuration, you are going to run out of space quickly. A few hours at most. While in the real world, a capture or multiple captures adding together can last easily 6, 7, 8 hours or more. So we do not want our customers to erase their entire hard drive on this thing every time they want to record a new procedure. So it's just a bad experience. And some people might say, hey, Chandler, why don't you offer your customers a list of resolutions for them to choose from? They can choose from 360p videos, 480p, 720, 1080, whatever they want, and do the same for pictures. Do the same up until 4K. Well, with Vuforia Expert Capture, we have a very focused use case. And it is not always the best idea to overcomplicate the problem and give the user too many options that they don't know what to do with. So it is up to us to spend the time and figure out that optimal sweet spot before giving it to the users. Go ahead.
Our solution, get a solder rework station and put a bigger flash chip on it.
Well, you should talk to the
Why don't you
recruiting
put
people.
128 gigs instead of 10?
Yeah, but either way, at the time, that was the concern. And it's not even that complicated of a problem, right? I don't need to say. All you have to do is, let's say we assume the users to record 10 hours of capture before running out of storage. All we have to do is to divide the total storage space by the 10 hours and then convert the result file size to the corresponding video resolution. Right? Bada bing, bada boom. It's that easy. Right? Hell no.
Not that easy.
As I said before, Vuforia Expert Capture is a full end-to-end solution. Well, I didn't say that, but Marty said it, so I'll take that. And lying underneath this is a robust but still complicated, very complicated architecture. Vuforia Capture is only one small piece of the puzzle. For this very problem, I had to consider, the camera capabilities and the storage space on the RealWear headset, right? But I also need to think about, hey, when the users finish a capture, where do these capture files go? The answer is the user will need to plug their RealWear device onto their computers and then upload these capture files into the Vuforia editor because the editor is running on our SaaS-based server. And after that, going through the content management system, all the media assets have to be stored on the cloud. And that introduces a few more complications. For example, by changing the video resolution from something like 480p to, let's say, 1080p, we're essentially increasing all file size by 4 or 5 times, right? And that's just a rough estimate. And when you are uploading a multi-hour capture in one sitting, and your internet breaks down or something like that.
Yeah, that's.
I don't want to be that guy. So that's something to think about. It's very important. After the videos have been uploaded onto the editor, we need to process the videos in many different ways. For example, we will need to generate proxy videos. Proxy videos are essentially lower resolution videos used for editing purposes so that you're not editing everything on the original HD video. There will be latencies. And there are much more ways we interact with the videos that might introduce extra complications if we up the video quality drastically. Last of all, we store all of our media assets on the cloud, on Azure. And the more storage space we use, the more money we pay. And all the previous problems I talked about, those are either a technical problem or a user experience problem. We talked to the technical people for that. We talked to the UX designers for that. But we also got to talk to the money people because like changing something as small as changing the video resolution can easily cost us a lot, and I mean a lot of money. And as we get more customers over time, this will become a bigger deal. So we need to take all of these things into account when we make the decision. Going back here. Adding these different pieces of the puzzle to the table. You have the upload speed, you have the video processing time, and you have the storage. Is that it?
Nope. I would assume there's going
Hey.
to be a there situation.
Well, after the videos, after the procedure is finished editing, they need to be downloaded onto the Vuforia View application so that the end users can use it. And a couple more things from there as well. Obviously, the download speed will be impacted. We're looking at customers from different manufacturing facilities and factories. They all have very different internet capabilities. And even if we have a customer overseas trying to download their content, multi-hour content from our servers all the way over here, that is going to be a problem. And also, you might have guessed it, when you download these captures onto your mobile device, we can't always assume all of our users to have the fancy new 200 gigabytes mobile phone and tablets. We need to keep all of the device limitations in mind so that even if someone has an out-of-date phone and they only have limited storage, they can enjoy the benefits of Vuforia Expert Capture just as much as anyone else. All right, coming back here. Adding these two new things to the table. Is that it? No. Nope. No, that's it. So.
Did you guys think about designing your own headset with more built-in storage?
No, but we can talk after this.
All right.
What I want to say is that, even though this is it, for this presentation, but this is an much simplified version of the actual, Vuforia Expert Capture architecture, and there are many more challenges we have faced that that are not listed here. My point is, any small change we make, at first you might think, hey, you're just changing the video resolution, big deal. No. Any small change we make in the Vuforia Capture app, on any of the headsets, will require collaboration between people, working in different teams on different products, people working on different departments with different partners on different platforms, people in different cities speaking different languages and with different time zones, all to get that one thing done.
Yeah, that's,
And after a lot of experimentation, and I mean a lot, and a lot of testing, a lot of collaboration between people, a lot of back and forth with the customer, we got the result. And how was the result? It was perfect. We figured out the optimal camera configuration for a specific use case with Vuforia Capture on the RealWare platform. We got 720p videos, we got 2K images, 30 frames per second, 156 kilobits per second for audio, and all of that's not supposed to show. And these, to a lot of people, these are just some arbitrary numbers, right? Just like search for something online and test them out, right? Why spend all the work? Well, to me, these numbers are full of love, coming from many different PTC engineers, product owners, product managers, UX designers, and many more, all coming together, working tirelessly, putting a lot of heart into making one little thing happen. It doesn't matter if the request is big or small. And that is why I love doing this, and that is why I love our team. So, I hope my little story gave you a glimpse of what we do, how we do it, and also why that I think that this is the best AR team in the world, PTC Vuforia. Thank you. Before I forget, if you want to join this amazing team,
Yes. Yes.
Marty was kind enough to put in this information here. So you can either go to any of these links or talk to us directly. I will be happy to help you out. With that said, I will hand it back to Marty.
Cool. So that was all the PTC presentations. Hopefully it was engaging and interesting. And I just want to end it with a big thank you. Thank you to Boston VR. Thank you for all you guys. Thank you to Mike Campbell, who helped sponsor this, Anna Gleason, who helped organize this, all of our demoers, Mike Liu, Colleen, Yogi, Louisa, Chandler, Caroline, Clay, Mike Morris, Brian, and Aliana. There's a lot going on behind the scenes to make this happen, and I hope you guys enjoy the rest of the day. We got the rest of the evenings planned for demos on the 17th floor. So any other shout outs for?
I mean, yeah, after the demos, come to Trillium, what was it called? And that'll be where we're meeting up afterwards. But other than that, enjoy the demos.
Cool. Yep. So we're going up to 17th floor. Head over to the elevators. Hit 17. You shouldn't need your credentials. We got more experiences, demos for you to check out. Thank you guys.